if you want to open the meeting.
Okay, right. Well, thank you everyone for attending in your various ways. First of all, if anyone has any declarations of interest among members, could they speak up now? Can I take it then that no one has any declarations of interest? And then could we approve the minutes of the last meeting? Do I need to take names, or could I say if anyone does object, can they let me know?
If somebody could move, if they...
I'll move the minutes.
Yeah. A seconder? Well, I'll second them. Yeah. So that's okay, that's the minutes. And also, we need to appoint a vice chairman for the year. So are there any volunteers or proposals?
Chairman, apologies.
Yeah. Do I hear any proposals for vice chairman or any volunteers?
I'll put my name down if there's no one there.
Yeah. Can anyone second Mr. Haslam?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Are we all happy then that Councillor Haslam is the vice chair for the year? Any dissenters, let me know.
Councillor Wicks, I think Councillor Crossley, your microphone is muted. I think you're wanting to speak.
Sorry, Councillor Crossley. Did you say she's oh, she's
no,
not muted
now.
Yeah. Can you not hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Right. So, are we ready to start the application part of the proceedings?
Yes.
Is everyone here that should be?
Can we go through the apologies?
Do we have apologies?
We have apologies from Councillor Adams.
No one else? Okay.
So, sorry, Councillor Wicks, can I just ask, apart from us, is there anybody else in this meeting concerning this item? No, it's just a discussion between us at the moment.
Excuse me, I joined in. I'm Colin Myers. I've made a representation about the application.
What was that?
My name is Colin Myers. Sorry.
Chairman, we have the applicant Leona Bannister, and we have Mr. Myers who's objecting to the application.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Lynn.
Which councillors are on? Because I can't see a list of participants.
Yeah. There's Councillor Lord, Councillor Crossley, Councillor Rosemary, myself, Councillor Haslam. Is that it, I think?
And me.
Sorry?
And me.
Oh, and Yvonne Tennant, yeah, sorry. And Rosemary, yeah.
Chair, do you want me to run through the procedure now?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Sorry, it's Emma Barker here. I'm the legal officer for the meeting. Do you want me to
run
through the
Emma,
procedure,
yes. Yeah, sorry. I'm not ignoring you.
No, and I appreciate everybody can't see everybody at the same time.
Yeah, right. Well, we'll get on with the next part of the meeting then. Can I first of all go around ask everybody to give the names as we usually do in when we're actually in a meeting?
Councillor Muhammad Aslam, Bradley Ward Councillor.
Yeah.
Councillor Linda Crossley, Barrowford Ward.
Yeah.
Councillor Dorothy Lord, Waterside Ward, Colne.
Yvonne?
Sorry, yeah, Councillor Yvonne Tennant, Southfield Ward.
Yeah.
Rosemary Carroll, Councillor for Avery Ward.
Is that all the councillors? And then there's Mr. Watson.
Oh, hello, sorry. There's myself, Neil Watson. I'm the service manager. I think we've got Mick Armfield, the licensing officer, as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Can I confirm, Chair, that you can hear me? Mick Armfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you, Mick.
Not very loud, but I can hear you.
Right, thank you.
And there's also Emma Barker, our solicitors, our legal representative. Miss Elf, I'll have to include Lynn, of course. Yeah. Right. I'll just get my procedural list. You have to excuse me if I seem to disappear. I've got the agenda items up on my other screen, and it closes. It shuts itself off every now and then. Right. So we've got everyone's names. Now, can I ask the licensing manager to confirm that all interested parties have been notified of the hearing?
I can confirm that, Chair. Yes.
Thank you. Are there any interested parties not present? I think we've answered that because Miss Bannister is present. And they had given notice for intention to attend the hearing. Now, we have to decide as a committee whether it's in the public interest for the application to proceed in the absence of anyone that had indicated they will be here, but it appears as though that isn't the case. So could I then ask our legal officer to outline the procedure for the hearing?
Yes, Chair, thank you. So the procedure for the hearing will be that Mr. Myers, as the objector, will make his representations first. Sorry, the licensing officer will present the report first. And then if anybody has any questions of the licensing officer, they may ask him any questions. Then Mr. Myers will make his representation as the objector. And again, if any member has any questions or if Miss Bannister's got any questions, they may ask the questions of Mr. Myers. And then Miss Bannister can present her case as the applicant for the premises licence. And again, anybody can ask any questions. And following that, each party has the opportunity to summarise their case. But at that point, they can't introduce any new evidence that they haven't already mentioned before. So it's now over to Mr. Watson to present the report, Chair, or Mr. Armfield, I think it might be.
It is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to consider an application for a premises licence following receipt of a representation from a local resident. And the application, which was received by the council on the 5th of March this year, is made by Mrs. Leona Bannister and is for a premises which is to be known as Toast, which is situated at 117B Gisborne Road in Barrowford. Mrs. Bannister is also the proposed designated premises supervisor at the premises. She has applied for the licensable activities and times, which are on page 2 of your report, and has outlined in her operating schedule on pages 2, 3 and 4 as to how she intends to comply with the 4 licensing objectives. Following receipt of the application and within the statutory 28-day objection period, officers received a relevant representation from a local resident, Mr. Myers, and the details of that representation are contained in Appendix 2 to the report. And in determining this application, the committee must have regard to the licensing guidance issued by the government and our own statement of licensing policy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Armfield. With no one else present from Trading Standards or Police, so I think the next person to present their case would be Mr. Myers.
Thank you. Can I just clarify, as I said in my letter, I am not making an objection to the application as such. I'm objecting to some of the conditions of the application. My main concern relates to the responsibility of the applicant to prevent public nuisance.
I can't hear you, Mick. I can't hear you. I find if people turn away slightly, you can't hear as well.
Right.
Yeah, it's Mr. Myers who's speaking at the moment. The objector.
Sorry.
Dorothy.
Right. Sorry. Sorry, Colin.
Carry on, Mr. Myers.
Right, thank you. As I say, my main concern is around the responsibility of the applicant to prevent public nuisance, particularly given the proposed hours of opening, Monday to Sunday, 8 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. and the provision of recorded music, Monday to Sunday, 8 a.m. to 1 a.m. and live music, Monday to Sunday, 12 noon to 1 a.m. Now, some of you may be aware that in this area of Barrowford, we've had major problems in the past with noise coming from, in particular, Rude Bar, where your officers had to be involved in taking action regarding the loud music that was played there. Now, the application, the premises of the application are about, I said in my letter, 150 yards. I've worked it out, they're near 100 yards from my house, and 1, 2, 3, 4 other houses on Hilltop, back Gisborne Road, and are opposite some flats on Gisborne Road. My view is that the playing of music, whether it's recorded or allowed, until 1 a.m. in the morning is unreasonable, given the restrictions that have been placed on other premises on Gisborne Road, for example, Will's Bar and the Lounge Bar, as well as Bombay Lounge, which is part of the same building as the application relates to. Now, these places are only allowed to provide music and opening until 11 p.m. And I think it's
Councillor Lord, did you want to say something?
Have I finished?
Councillor Lord?
No, I've just been to get
right. Can we go back to Mr. Myers was starting his to speak. Would you like to continue?
Thank you. Yeah. As I say, I feel it's unreasonable to, in a small village, to providing not only alcohol and music, but opening until 1 o'clock in the morning. Now, I suspect that a lot of people using the bar will be getting there from other drinking places that have already closed, and that there's no mention in the prevention of public nuisance as to how the applicants are going to control admissions of people who perhaps are intoxicated at the time that they're getting in. Plus, there's the noise that people do make outside bars on closure. There'll be the issue of taxis, no doubt, that will be arriving to pick up customers. There's also the issue, sorry, I've just remembered that Bombay Lounge, when they provide music and entertainment, and the Land Club, which is across the road for it, have to have their windows and doors closed. And Bombay Lounge has to have a security person on the door, a registered member of the door services and security services. And you know, I feel that this, if you are going to allow the application to play music until late at night and early hours in the morning, and drinking until late at night and early hours in the morning, they should come under the same sort of considerations. That's all I want to say. I have no objection at all to the application, the other parts of the application. In fact, I've no doubt I'll be using, if allowed, be using the coffee bar during the day. It's just the issues around the licensing, the serving of alcoholic drinks, and the music until the early hours of the morning. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Myers. Could we now hear from Leona Bannister, please?
Chair, if anybody has any questions for Mr. Myers first, Chair.
Oh, we can take them now. Yeah. Any member got any questions for Mr. Myers? Yeah. No. Okay. So now we can ask for Miss Bannister to put her case.
Hi. I'd like to firstly start by reassuring Mr. Myers, and I totally understand his concerns. I totally agree with everything he's just said. Predominantly, the business is not going to be a wine bar as such. We're a coffee shop. We're looking for daytime trade. Both myself and my business partner, we don't want to open late. We purely went for these hours because that was what the business previous twice, which was Turner's, had. So it just seemed reasonable to go for those because they'd already had permission for that. If we were to open, it would only be a very occasional evenings, New Year's Eve, say, private functions. We've thought about doing private parties, but we certainly wouldn't want people coming from other bars to us after. It would be people that were already in there. We definitely do not want to be, having drunk people that have been at Will's or other bars turning up. It's just not that going to be that sort of place at all. As regards to the music as well, it would just be ambience music. It wouldn't be, loud music at all. We're not looking to be rude bar at all. We don't have the capacity for the people in there either for that amount. They've got a very strict policy. We can only have up to 60 people in there, and that includes staff. So that would be at maximum. We'd be really pushed at that anyway. So it's certainly not going to be a busy, bar like that. It is mainly just for daytime drinking, early evening. We're looking to close at the latest on a Friday and Saturday night, probably 9 o'clock, I would have thought. During the day, it's going to be 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We've really just gone for those hours for what ifs, and very occasional sort of parties, like we say, or New Year's Eve, which I'm aware that I could get a temporary events license for anyway. But like I say, it was just on the occasion. They already had those hours before when it was Turner's, so it just seemed obvious to go for the same, apply for the same. But there certainly won't be. We wouldn't be wanting drunk people hanging around outside. It's definitely not going to be that sort of place. We would be happy, as he suggested, if we did occasionally have a private party in there, or we were opening late for an occasion. We would be happy to have a doorman on. No problems whatsoever there. If that would, reassure Mr. Myers. For our own sort of peace of mind as well, I suppose. We would be definitely happy to do that, to stop anyone coming in that hasn't already been in there throughout the evening. That's it, really. I hope that's sort of enough to, I'm happy to compromise on the hours, but it was just what we were advised to sort of recommended to apply for. So.
Okay, thank you, Miss Bannister. Mr. Armfield, have you any questions for Miss Bannister?
No questions, Chair.
No. Members, anyone got a question for Miss Bannister? Or Mr. Myers, do you have any questions?
Just a comment, if I may. Whilst they may have been the opening hours for Turner's, the wine bar that was there previously, I've never known them be open until after 11 o'clock at night. We were resident here all the time that Turner's were in those premises.
I went to Turner's a lot, and we were there, but there was never any trouble. So I think you didn't notice that it was open, but I've certainly been in there at 1 o'clock in the morning before. But it wasn't that. The clientele was the same sort of clientele that we'd be looking for, which are not rowdy, revelers. So I hope that, you know, we would definitely be attracting the same sort of.
I accept that fully, yes.
Sorry?
I say I accept what you're saying fully. It may well be
Yeah.
that it's up till 1 o'clock, but if there's no noise in the music, I wouldn't know about it.
No.
Madam Chairman.
Right, thank you. Right.
Chair.
Right, if no one has any questions,
Chairman.
You have, Councillor Crossley, yes.
Thank you very much. Yes, Ms Bannister, obviously you've said that you wouldn't be opening until 1:30 in the morning, but I mean, say we've no guarantee of this. We've only got your word for it, and I'm sorry, it might be tempting. You know, you've got a good crowd and think, oh, we can make a bit of money here, and you know, let's open a bit later. So I think, you know, would you be happy?
It's not a regular thing.
But would you be happy with a reduction in the hours?
Yeah, if I don't, you know, I don't want to jeopardise getting the licence. The most important thing for me is obviously to get the licence, and I don't want to upset the residents of Barrowford that are going to be our.
Of which I am one, and I live very close to Mr Myers. So.
Yeah, so it was not in our interest to do that. And I am aware that I might be wrong, apply for, you know, if it was New Year's Eve, I could apply for a would it affect me getting a temporary events notice if we were going to do it as a one-off?
No.
Or, no. So, yeah, you know, I would accept a reduction in the hours because I understand that it's only my word saying, you know, that we're not going to be, but it's just not that sort of place. But, you know, I wanted just the flexibility, especially with Corona at the minute, you know, that you can't have as many people in. So we might have to extend slightly, you know, but we don't want to be there at that time. I've got a young child and, you know, we don't want the responsibility of a bar as such. It is a coffee shop where we want to serve alcohol. So, but yeah, you know, if that would make it easier for us to get the licence, then I would happily compromise on the times.
Thank you. That's it, Madam Chairman.
Anyone else?
Yes, Chair. Can I put a question? Has the building got a noise inhibitor inside?
Has it what, sorry?
Noise level inhibitor.
I don't think so.
A noise inhibitor, I think.
Noise inhibitor. Oh, no, I don't really understand that. No. Soundproofing, you mean? For
the window. Can I just comment? When we were concerned about the noise levels at Rude Bar, they were ordered to install a noise inhibitor, which is basically that all the music goes through a plug, which is set at a certain level of decibels, and if it goes any higher than that, the plug cuts everything off.
Right, okay. Yeah, I mean, we happily install that if that's you know, like I say, it's more for ambience. If we were to do live music that we've applied for, it would be sort of on an afternoon, a Sunday afternoon, say. We might have some live music on, but again, it wouldn't be loud. You know, we want people to be able to come in and talk, not sort of, you know, it's not a nightclub. It's definitely not a nightclub.
Okay, Councillor Crossley, did you want to come in?
No, thank you, Madam Chairman. I think my question's been answered.
Just your hand still showing.
Oh, right, sorry. I don't have to put it down.
Yeah. Anyone else got any questions? If not, we'll move on to the summing up. Mr. Armfield, would you like to sum up for your case, please?
I think it's up to both applicants.
It's just Mr. Myers and Miss Bannister for summing up, Chair.
Sorry. Mr. Myers, would you like to sum up?
Yeah, from what I've heard
Just
from
briefly sum up your representation.
yeah, my concerns about the noise, and I've had reassurances from Mrs. Bannister that that will be kept under control, and I'm quite happy with that.
Okay, thank you. Miss Bannister, would you sum up your case, please?
I'm happy that I've hopefully managed to reassure, Mr. Myers that, it's not going to be an issue going forward at all. There would, like I say, it doesn't do our business any good to upset residents of Barrowford that are our customers. So we'll do everything within our power to make sure everything was, above board and keeping the peace.
Thank you. Right. If anyone else got any questions before we move on to the decision? If not, could everyone who isn't a committee member leave the meeting, please?
Thank you very much indeed.
Chairman, if I could just explain to people that you will be invited back into the meeting. You'll get another email to join the meeting for the decision. Okay, so Mr. Myers and Miss Bannister, you will be invited back into the meeting for the decision. So if you want to just check your email to rejoin.
Yeah, we're not pushing you out permanently.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Right, so we can proceed to for the decision. Committee members have met and made the following decision. In respect to the premises licence application under the Licensing Act 2003, in respect of Toast, 117B Gisborne Road, Barrowford, that the application be granted subject to the conditions specified in the operating schedule and the following. 1. The supply of alcohol shall cease at 2300 hours Monday to Sunday. 2. All recorded and live music shall cease at 2300 hours Monday to Sunday. And the reasons for the decision: A. It's considered that amendment to the hours for the supply of alcohol, live and recorded music, and the addition of the condition on the licence serves to promote the prevention of the public nuisance objective. Could you move it up a little, please, and then I can read the second. Thank you. And item B, consideration has been given to all the powers available to the licensing authority under section 18 of the Act, and concludes that modification of the hours on the licence is both necessary and proportionate in the circumstances. And that's the decision of the committee. So thank you everyone for taking part. This meeting is now concluded.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. Stay